Hi guys, so this is one of those rare times where someone else is watching my toddler so that I can sit down and film a sit down style video. I posted on Instagram and asked what you guys would like to see, and more than half of the responses were a Q&A. I'm gonna start with the number one question. I think this is like the one that covers half of the questions I got, and that is, when is baby number 2 coming? How many kids do you want? Everything about baby number 2. So Alex and I definitely want 3 or 4 kids. We're both definitely ready for it right now. So hopefully I will be able to announce something exciting soon. But as of right now, I am not pregnant. Question number 2 is, do you still co-sleep? Do you recommend it? And when is James going to be set up in his own bedroom? And I'm just gonna be really brutally honest with you guys right now. We are co-sleeping with James, and he's 19 months old, and I'm not sure that I would have done it the same way if I could go back in time. He spent the first 6 months in a bassinet. We had the snoo bassinet. He absolutely loved it. But when he outgrew, actually, I think it was longer than 6 months. I think it was closer to a year. But once he outgrew that, he did come into the bed with us. And I don't think I would do it differently if I could go back in time, which makes me think that I probably will do the same thing with future kids. But I know that it's going to be a struggle, and I know that I've created a little bit of a struggle situation in the future. And when I see my friends who have toddlers that sleep completely in their own crib and have since they were really little, part of me is like, wow, that is very different than my situation, and in some ways really nice. But then in other ways, I enjoy that snuggle time so much with him that I don't think I'd want to give it up. So I don't know, it's just one of those mom struggles, I guess. I don't know what the better decision would be. The next question is, how did you meet your husband and how long did you guys date before you got married? So I am 31 years old, so is my husband. We would have been in the same grade in school. We met when we were 23 years old. We were introduced by my best friend who was dating his best friend at the time. So we got introduced when we were 23. We dated briefly. Then we ended up breaking up a few months into it because he's a musician and he was going on this really long tour, and he had 4 tours scheduled in the following couple years, and he just really couldn't settle down and didn't want to, quite frankly. He was young, he was 23. We ended up getting back together when we were 25, I believe, and we got engaged at 27, married at 28, got pregnant with James at 29, had him at 30, and we just turned 31 this year. So yeah, we've known each other since we were 23 and we're 31 now. The next question kind of piggybacks off of that question, and it is, you were so private at the beginning of YouTube with your dating life. Were you dating anyone? Because I actually never talked about boys on my channel until Alex put a ring on it. We were engaged when I announced it, and people were like, what? I didn't even know you had a boyfriend, because I never talked about it. The truth is, in my early 20s, in my teen years, basically all the time before Alex, I dated a lot. I've only had a couple really long-term relationships in my life before Alex, but I dated a lot. I always had a crush. There was always someone who my eye was on. I always had that kind of exciting thing in my life that I was looking forward to. And if I didn't, then I would ask my friends if they knew anyone, or I even online dated for a while. And actually, the whole asking your friend if they know anyone, I met my husband through my best friend. So that's definitely something you should do if you're single and you are interested in dating someone. But when I was in school, it was easier because obviously you're in class with people, you're meeting people. It's harder as an adult, and that's why I do think if you can do it safely, online dating is great. It's a great option that's available now. I know a lot of people who have married people that they have met through online dating, but I did date a lot, yeah. And I think because I dated so much, it made me understand what I wanted, and it made me know that Alex was the one when I got together with him. I just knew, and I've never doubted it. I've never said, I've only ever been with him, and so I don't know what else is out there. I have a good idea of what's out there, and he's my person. And I never ever doubt that. The next question is, and I'm reading it off, could you walk us through your decision to move to LA, describe those years, and then leave it? So yes. Summer between my junior and senior year of college, I had an internship in New York City at 17 magazine. I was doing YouTube videos at the time, so you guys probably know if you've watched me since then, which that was a really long time ago, so that's crazy if you're still here. But I lived in New York for the summer, and I learned from that experience that New York is not my city. It was not a place that I would ever want to live in again. I did have a wonderful experience. I loved my internship, but I learned that the city was not for me. After school, I knew that I wasn't gonna move back to Tennessee. That just wasn't an option for me. I wanted to be in a city, and I knew New York wasn't for me, so it was really between Chicago and LA. And the reason for those two cities was because my best friend was moving to Chicago. That's the only reason why I was really considering Chicago. We were gonna get an apartment together. And remember, at that point, I was doing YouTube as my full-time job, so I could move anywhere. I had the flexibility to continue on what I was doing anywhere. But LA made the most sense for lots of reasons. The biggest one being that our agency was based in LA, and we were traveling to LA constantly at that point in our YouTube career. We were in LA several times a month, and by we, I mean me and my sister Blair, and it just made sense to move there. On top of that, I loved LA, loved it, and I ended up living there for like 10 years, so I obviously loved it. My sister ended up moving out with me. We got an apartment right next to the Grove, and we lived there for several years. We actually lived in 2 different units in that apartment complex. We upgraded after the first year to a 2-story unit that had a 3rd bedroom that we could use as our office. And then we moved out and we purchased condos in Hollywood in the same building. And then after Alex and I got engaged and we were planning our wedding, we decided to purchase a house in Orange County, which is south of LA, and it is more of a suburban area as opposed to being like right in the heart of Hollywood. And I loved Orange County. I probably would have stayed in Orange County if it wasn't for a few things. First, we were super far from both of our families. That was the biggest thing. Once we had James, we were like, we need to move closer to family. 2, financially, it is so hard to live in California right now. It is so expensive. I would say those are the 2 big ones, but there were also smaller concerns that added up. For instance, the crime rate was getting higher in our area. The schools were not the best. Earthquakes, fires, there was a lot going on. But ultimately, we decided to move to Nashville, which is where we're living right now, and we love it. Blair moved to Nashville too, so Blair and I have literally lived in the same area since she was 15 and I was 20. Looking back, moving to LA was the right decision for me, and I loved my years there so much. If I could go back in time, I would do it again. But at this point in my life, it wasn't the right place for my family, and we were all on the same page, me, Alex, and Blair. She's like just part of our little family, right? And we all knew that the move to Nashville was the right one for us, and we are very happy with our decision. But I did love LA. I really did. The next question is, do you notice any differences in dynamics between you and Alex since the baby was born? I think the biggest difference is that we used to sit around and watch our cats at night. Like, we would make dinner and we would sit on the sofa and we'd have like a Shark Tank or something playing on TV, like some show that we were watching, Big Brother, whatever it was at the moment. And we would just watch our cats play, and we would play with them, we would talk to them. Like, we're a little family unit with our cats. And I mean, our cats are still part of our family, don't get me wrong, but now we do that same thing, but now we have a toddler running around and sliding down a slide and playing with his blocks and running around, and it feels like our house has a lot of life in it right now, and we talk about it all the time. We're like, remember when it was just the cats and now we have a toddler? So that probably is not what you expected to hear. I don't know. Nothing has really changed in our relationship in like a negative way. We have just learned how to balance our life with a kid, but ultimately we're the same people. We just have a kid now. The next question is, what is the status of your California home and has it sold yet? So when we made the decision to move to Nashville, we knew it was going to be a long process because we owned 2 homes in California, and ideally we wanted to sell them both and then find a home in Nashville. We knew it was going to be a long process. We have sold both of our homes in California. We no longer own property in California, so we are truly moved over completely to Tennessee. The only thing that we still have in California is my husband's music studio, which he rents. So it still is in downtown LA. He is eventually going to move it over, but that's like the last piece of the puzzle. Moving from there to Nashville was a really big process. It took a long time to sell the homes, to find a home, the moving process, but we are at the finish line. It's so close. The next question is, why are you back at your parents' house? Is everything okay? I am actually currently filming in James's nursery, which he does not sleep in, but this is like, you can see like there's a tree painted on the wall back there. This is like where I've set up my little filming area, but I am back in Kingsport right now because my grandmother on my mom's side, the Turkish one, is coming into town in 2 days, and my mom's sister, who I have not seen I saw her at my wedding. That was the last time I saw her. And then before that, I probably haven't seen her in like 6 years, and she's never met James. So we wanted to come into town. Nashville is only 4 hours away from Kingsport. So if you don't travel far often, that might seem like a really long distance, but after living in LA for 10 years, that feels like you could go to the mall 4 hours away. Like, it just doesn't feel like that crazy. So that's why we're here. This was an unexpected trip, and I think that's how typically like our times coming to Kingsport's gonna be, kind of unplanned, on a whim. We were back in Nashville for like 2.5 weeks and then turned around and came back here for family. So that's one of the reasons why we moved. We wanted to have that flexibility. Another question was, do you have a housekeeper for your tap to cleans? No, I do that all myself. Alex does help. We did have a housekeeper in LA, and we probably will hire someone to come in once every 2 weeks and do a deep clean. But as for the surface level, even like kind of some deep cleaning, but the like picking up and cleaning, that's definitely all me and Alex. All right, the last question for this Q&A is going to be, how often do you take time out for yourself without baby James? And I will say that I have only just recently started doing this again. He is 19 months old, and I would say only in the past 4 months have I started taking time for beauty treatments again. So I have been getting my hair done more often. I have been getting my eyelash extensions again, which I haven't had in a long time. And those little things go to make me feel so much better about myself. And those are things that I didn't treat myself to in the first several months, year and a half of James's life. I just didn't prioritize it, and I'm kind of starting to prioritize those things again now that he's a little bit older, and I feel really good about myself. So I think I'm gonna remember that with the next one and try to keep those things up. I would love for you guys to leave me a comment below telling me some ideas of sit down videos that you guys would like to see. I am going to be doing more vlog style content in the coming months, but times like today where I have an hour and I can sit and do like a talkie style video, I would love to take advantage of in order to create more content for you guys. And I just want to know what you guys are interested in. So I did ask on Instagram, and most of you guys wanted a Q&A. I did not even touch 5% of the questions I got. So I can do another Q&A maybe next month, but I would love some ideas of other videos you'd like to see in between. So let me know what you'd like to see. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys with my next one. Goodbye.